Hello and welcome to English and More. I am your English teacher Shweta Roy, and today we are here to analyze the very beautiful poem The Voice of the Rain by Walt Whitman. So the very title itself gives you the impression, you can imagine the rain, right? And the music of the rain. The title says The Voice of the Rain. So from the title itself you can analyze that it is going to talk about, yes, the voice of the rain. That means rainfall has been given the voice, right? So there is, which poetic device has been used? Of course it is personification, because rainfall has been personified, it has been given the voice, right? So from the title we can understand that it is going to talk about the speech of the rain. Maybe the voice, the rainfall is trying to say, it's trying to express something, or is going to speak about something. What it is, let us find out. Let us read the poem and analyze it. So before we delve into the poem, let us understand the poet and let us know a brief history about the poet. So we are not not unfamiliar with the poet, because we already know about Walt Whitman from our previous grade. In grade 10th, we had a poem by Walt Whitman. If you remember, we had Animals by Walt Whitman, right? So Walt Whitman was an American poet, essayist, and journalist known for his unconventional style of writing, right? So he is famous for his unconventional style of writing. Please note this. His works have been celebrated for their boldness, honesty, emotional depth, making him one of the most influential poets in American literature. Even if you go back and read the poem Animals from your grade 10, you will find all these features which are mentioned here in that poem. So he is very popular because he is known as the father of free verse poetry. Free verse poetry, there is no rhyming scheme in his poetry. If you again go back to Animals, you would find that there was no rhyme scheme in that poem as well. So he is known for his free verse style, and he's the father of free verse poetry. His deeply emotional, spiritual, and nature-based poems appeal to the poetry lovers all around the world. Now, if you see this poem and if you compare it with Animals, one thing which is common is nature. Because in Animals also he has talked about nature. If you remember the poem a little, he talks about how he wants to go and live in the world, in their world with the animals. So he wants that, and because human beings have they have deviated from that natural path, and that is the reason why they have lost all the virtues that the animals had got. That was the basic essence of the poem, right? So definitely talked about nature. Here also, if you look at the title itself, it is about rain, right? So definitely it is going to be about nature. Now this work is conversational. Voice of rain, as I told you from the title itself, you could analyze that rain is going to speak, because if you have voice, of course you will speak something, right? So it is conversational, and his work was conversation, and definitely his work was controversial during his time, especially his poetry collection Leaves of Grass, right? So that and this particular poem, Voice of Rain, was later included in this particular collection, which is Leaves of Grass, which was at that point of time controversial. And the modernist poet Ezra Pound, we all should be familiar. If we are not familiar with Ezra Pound, he's a very popular and a very famous, a well-known poet. He called Whitman, please note, he said about Whitman, what he had to say about Whitman: America's poet, he is America. So a very powerful line which has been penned for this particular poet, Walt Whitman, by another well-known poet, Ezra Pound. So this is something which you need to know. So this was about the poet for your information. Now let us know a brief background about the poem itself. Now, The Voice of Rain was published in Outing. Initially, it was published in Outing. Please note, it is a periodical. It was a periodical in the year 1885, and later, as I told you, it was included in Whitman's best-known work, Leaves of Grass, which was controversial, if you remember. Now, this poem has 12 lines. Okay, through these short 12 lines, Whitman expresses the themes of nature and writing. Okay, so there are two powerful themes. One is nature, definitely rain, so nature, and writing. Now, how has he equaled rain with writing forms the main essence of this beautiful poem. He often turned to nature as a source of information, inspiration, and comfort in a world that was becoming increasingly industrialized. This theme, this predominant theme, we had found in his poem Animals also. So as we become more modernized, more industrialized, we are deviating away from nature. That is what he has tried to portray in Animals also, and that is a recurrent theme. And as I told you that the tone of the poem is conversational. So please note, because short question, multiple choice question, these are important points. The tone is important, the theme is important. Now let us go by the stanzas. The first stanza, and who art thou? Said I to the soft falling shower, which strange to tell gave me an answer as here translated. I am the poem of earth, said the voice of rain. Eternal I rise, impalpable out of the land and the bottomless sea, upward to heaven, whence, vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same. Now, before we delve into the explanation of the poem, let us remember two important things about the voice of rain. The first one is, the important word over here is rain. So what do we know about rain? First is, we will concentrate on the scientific phenomenon associated with rain. And before you go and delve into the poem, please think about your emotional connect with rain. So I hope everybody enjoys rain, right? We all love when it rains, when it starts raining, right? The onset of monsoon is our favorite season after the scorching heat. So the petrichor of the music of the rain. If we go back to our grade 9th, we had another poem on rain that was called it was related to rain, the sound of rain, the music of rain, right? So that was about rain. You must have read other such poems about rain, right? So two things to remember: one is the scientific phenomenon associated with rain, and one is the beauty associated with rain, the music of the rain, the feeling that it gives, the emotional connect with the rain, and therefore the proximity of human beings with nature. So rain as a blessing, because definitely without rain the crops won't grow, we would not get food. So definitely rain is a blessing to all of us. So these two things we need to remember. Now what is the poet trying to tell you in the first few lines? In the first lines of The Voice of Rain, the speaker describes asking rain who it is. Who art thou? Who it is? It is the speaker directly asking rain. So I told you it has a conversational tone. So conversation between speaker and the rain. Okay. Now here the poetic device apostrophe has been used. Now what is apostrophe? Apostrophe is a poetic device where the poet addresses an absent audience or something which is personified. So from the title itself, we had analyzed that there is a personification. Rain has been personified and thereby given a voice, right? Next lines use personification because it describes a translated answer. See, which strange to tell gave me an answer. It is very strange for the poet because he never expected that the rain would give him an answer. Okay, and he's translating that answer of the rain. What is he saying? Answer how it is the poem of the earth. That's a metaphor. Very, very important. This is the whole theme of the poem. This is the essence of the poem. How rain becomes the poem of the earth. The rain's words. What are the rain's words? See over here. Eternal I rise. So first of all, it is the poem of the earth. It is compared with poetry. That is, the comparison is very important. Okay. Eternal I rise, impalpable out of the land. So this is describing the scientific phenomena. Impalpable, the word impalpable means which you can which is not which you cannot touch and feel. That is impalpable, right? So it moves cyclically. You know about the water cycle, how rainfall is formed, how raindrops are formed. So that is what it is describing. It comes out of the sea and the land, it moves upwards, right? So evaporation takes place, and then it is transformed into clouds, and then condensation happens and it forms as rain. That is the whole cyclical process, the water cycle, which we had studied in our junior grades. That is what the voice of rain is describing, right? So how it is transformed, but towards the end, if you read, it talks about how it still remains the same, right? So as the lines progress, the readers should also consider how they apply, how this entire phenomena applies to poetry. Which phenomena? The scientific phenomena of the rain being transformed, the entire evaporation, condensation, the whole process, how it is transformed. But towards the end, it again goes back to back to square one, as we say it, right? So I descend to have the droughts, atomies, dust layers of the globe, and all that in them without me were seeds only, latent, unborn. So as I told you, how rainfall is a blessing to all of us. That is what it is describing. And forever, by day and night, I give back life to my own origin and make pure and beautify it. So this is the function of rainfall. Again and again, I'm saying, as rainfall is compared with poetry, we have to constantly compare both of them and their significance in our lives. For song issuing from its birthplace after fulfillment, wandering, reckoned or unreckoned, duly with love returns. So this is the similarity between rainfall and poetry. Let us see what he has to say. So the speaker describes its massive impact on earth. What is this massive impact? That can come as a question. The rain washes around the droughts. Droughts means droughts over here. It enriches the dust layers of the globe. That means it removes all the dust particles, washes away, purifies everything. It is necessary for the continuation of life on earth. If rain doesn't happen, the seeds would remain latent. It will never be born. It would remain unborn. So without seeds, crops won't grow, right? So these lines are emphasizing on the crucial nature of rain. Okay, and now we would tap on into the extended metaphor. As I told you that it is an example of an extended metaphor. Now you know what a metaphor is, right? It's an implicit comparison between two objects without using like or as. Extended metaphor means when the metaphor extends and it occurs through a couple of lines, right? That is extended metaphor. So here it extends through a couple of lines. So that is why it is an extended metaphor. The essential nature of poetry. So this is just as rainfall is important in rejuvenation of earth, it gives earth a new life, it washes away all the impurities. Same function is followed by poetry, and it plays an important role in replenishing the human soul and heart. So that comparison is very, very important. So the rain describes how in a cycle it is born, okay, and then gives life to the place from which it is birthed. How is it born? You all know evaporation, condensation. So from a drop of water, it forms water droplets, clouds are formed, and then condensation happens. And when condensation happens, rain falls, it beautifies the earth. In the last lines, which is given in parenthesis, brackets. Now, why there could be a question, why are the last lines given within brackets? Because that is not a part of conversation between the rain and the speaker. The whole poem is a conversation, I told you, right? Except the last part, right? So in the last lines, the speaker brings the poem back around and connects the rain to the poetry. The last line talks about the comparison of poetry and rain. The 11th and the 12th line state that song or poem, song here is equivalent to poem, right? It emanates from one place and then wanders until the day of its return. It originates from one place and then it wanders, just as rain starts from one place, then it wanders, it falls throughout the globe, and then again it comes back, right? It returns lovingly, no matter if it was appreciated or heard or not heard, right? So reckoned or unreckoned, it soothes the ears, mind, soul, heart of the readers. It is appreciated, unappreciated, it returns back again. That is the similarity. So it is describing each stage of the water cycle, and the poem plays homage to the restorative power of the natural world. This is about the theme. These points are very, very important. It claims that poetry also nourishes humanity, and just as rain nourishes the earth. This is the whole comparison. So it functions as an extended metaphor. For poetry, it asserts that it not only shares a rain-like cycle, but it is also vital and nourishing for the world. So 2 points of similarity. One is the entire cycle. Second is how it nourishes and soothes the heart and soul. I told you the scientific phenomena and how we are close to nature and how nature is a blessing for all of us. These are the 2 major points that you need to remember, and the entire poem is harping on these 2 points. The last 2 lines, as I told you, have been put into brackets because they are not a part of the conversation. It is only a general observation made. You could be asked a question on this, made by the poet about the course of a song. It is just a general observation, not a conversation. So that was The Voice of the Rain. I hope you've understood the entire poem. It's a simple poem, but it's a very beautiful and heart-touching and so very relevant in each one of our lives, right? So next we would be very soon coming up with our next poem, that is the Laburnum Top. Meanwhile, please stay tuned. I've already mentioned the poetic devices alongside, so please go to the video, go back to the video, take a pause, understand all the poetic devices, and in the comment section let me know what are the poetic devices that you have found in this particular poem. Do not forget. And do not forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. See you in the next class very soon.